Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Jen Wong about her wedding at Aulani in Hawaii. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how she chose to get married in Hawaii, how she planned everything, and how it all turned out. So welcome, Jen.
Hi, so nice to meet you, Carrie.
Nice to meet you too, and thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding at Aulani.
We have had a really strong connection with Disney ever since we started dating. My first date was at Disneyland, and then I got engaged at Disney's Animal Kingdom and Disney World. And so we felt like the cherry on top would be to have a Disney wedding in Hawaii. So that's how we decided to choose the venue. And we've been fortunate because my now husband's parents have a timeshare in Marriott, which is like a couple lagoons down from the Aulani. So we have had the privilege to actually go walk to Aulani, see what it was like, to see how the hotel is and the venues itself, like prior to meeting our wedding planner. So we kind of just knew like off the bat, like it was something we really wanted to do.
Got it. So then how did your friends and family react when they found out where your wedding was going to be?
So initially we thought it was going to be like a shock or like, wow, like Hawaii, like why there? But we actually had a really strong family and friend support for when we told them we were interested. And we've had a really long engagement. So we kind of gave the people like a heads up, like we were planning to do a destination wedding. So it kind of gave them plenty of time to figure out travel if they even wanted to save for it. Yeah, we actually had a really good turnout. So I was very surprised and happy that it worked out.
That's wonderful. So how many guests did you invite and how many were able to make the trip?
So we had about 220 guests that were invited, and we ended up with 140 people who were able to make it, which was a really shocking turnout.
Wow, that's amazing. Did that limit the venues that you could choose from?
Yes, it did. So that's why I was really fortunate that the winner that we worked with, she was really helpful and actually let us tour the spaces that could hold over 150 guests prior to us making the decision, because that sort of helped us decide like where we for sure wanted to have it.
Got it. Okay. How did you choose the day of the week and time of day for your event?
So we initially wanted it to be on a Saturday. And all the days that were available in the month of February, which is just what my husband and I wanted to essentially get married in. I don't know why. Something about February just seemed like sentimental and really the date. And so we couldn't do it on a Saturday. So we ended up having it on a Friday. And we were really fortunate because it actually was a really great day of the week. And a lot of our family actually was able to come off because it was during like the President's Week. So we got lucky, yeah, and had actually quite a bit of people show up.
That's wonderful. Okay, so then of the venues that were able to hold a guest count that large, which one did you choose for your ceremony and reception?
So we chose an off Aulani property, like partnering with Aulani, and we do everything like through fairy tale weddings. So it's basically like the same concept. It's just a little bit more private, and it's called Lanikūhonua Cultural Institute.
Interesting. So you worked with your planner just like if you were using one of Aulani's venues, but then they had an arrangement with this property that's like a couple doors down or something?
Yes, correct.
I see. Great. Okay. Did you have transportation taking you there from Aulani, or did people just walk?
So yes, they did provide transportation if you stay at the Aulani, which is part of the room block package that they require with booking through them, sort of similar to how I think Orlando does it. And then they also offered free parking. So guests coming from other places on the island, they could drive and park their car there for free. And then also, yes, if you wanted to walk, it was also close enough to walk.
Okay, that's great to know. And then how did you choose the vendors that you used for your event?
So Aulani actually provides a PDF pamphlet booklet with all the vendors that they partner with that they highly recommend to use. They're super open also if you happen to do your own research and see you want to use, someone else, but they give you their best suggestions because they've worked with them in the past and have a really good relationship with them. And so I chose my vendors off the list and basically off of looking at their social media accounts and their websites. That's how we ended up choosing what we chose. So I used for floral Yvonne Design and for photography and videography because I wanted it to be easier since it was both through the same company. I used Aria Studios. And then the Mickey Arch and also the Aloha sign is designed with Aloha. And then a lot of the tables and chairs, the tent came from Pacific Party Rentals. And then we also did a couple other vendors for we have a lay wall that was from Aloha Artisans. And then also a mirror that was designed by Cess Calligraphy. The ceremony chairs were actually Aulani provided.
Did you guys add any kind of entertainment to the ceremony or the reception?
Yes. So for the ceremony, Aulani provides either a harpist, guitarist, or a ukuleleist. And so we ended up choosing the ukuleleist. His name is Randy. And then for the reception, we hired a DJ on one of the vendors list, and we used DJ Troy.
Do you have any menu items or cake flavors from your reception that you would recommend?
Yes. So when we did our cake tasting, we really enjoyed two different flavors. So that's sort of how we ended up with a 2-tiered cake. My husband really liked the churro crunch, and I really liked the pog flavored, which is passion orange guava. And then for menu items, I would say nothing that we had for our menu was bad or good. I would say maybe the one highlight item that is really special to Aulani is their Mickey Mouse musubis, which is the rice with the spam and the seaweed wrapped on top. And our guests loved that, especially I think because it's Mickey shaped and everyone just loves Mickey shaped things. So that was probably one of our highlights as well.
That's great. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day all fit together?
So we actually were probably one of the most rare type of weddings that we were ahead of schedule on the timeline. And so everything that we had from starting with hair and makeup from 8:30, it was supposed to last until 2, but they finished at 1. And then the photographers actually had downtime from us getting ready to heading to the venue. We had about an hour to spare in between for both. So it was pretty successful, I would say. 8:30 to 1, we did hair and makeup. And then from 2 to 4:30, we did photos. My husband and I did not do a first look because he wanted to see me walk down the aisle for the first time. So instead of doing that, I did a first look with my dad in between getting ready and 4:45 in the midst of the photos. And then we ended up not having to do too much on our end for setting up because the wedding planners actually do it all. So we just were able to get to the venue at the start of the ceremony. And then my husband was able to take a look at what was done in the morning and also check out the venue and also take photos at the venue with his groomsmen and family before the ceremony started. And then after our ceremony started from 5 and ended around 5:20. So we did family photos from 5:20 to 6-ish. And then we were able to enjoy the rest of the time at cocktail hour, which was ending at 6:30. And then we did our entrances and the start of the actual reception at 6:30 and had dinner around 7:15. And then dessert was for the guests around 7:30 to 7:45. And then we ended up doing a private cake cutting around that time as well. And then from 8 to 10 was just dancing and having a good time.
That's awesome. What is a private cake cutting?
So we were told actually by our DJ that right now the trend is to not take time out of the dancing and the fun part and having a private cake cutting. So that allowed us to go, just the two of us, to a separate area, and just the photographers came with us, and we were able to like cut cake for the photos and not have like our family and friends like distract and be like a crowd. So it was kind of like a private, intimate moment for us to just be able to eat cake in peace.
So I take it you would recommend it.
Yeah, it was really nice. Because the day of, like, we didn't really get to see each other that much. So this was like a really good opportunity to kind of step away from all the chaos of like the wedding guests and stuff and just be celebrating like the two of us.
That's wonderful. And then with the venue you chose, would you have been able to have characters if you wanted them?
Yes, we just opted not to.
Okay, got it. So when you were planning, what were some of the most important aspects where you focused your attention or your budget?
So our biggest aspect was to celebrate the people who were coming. My husband and I are only children, so we didn't really want the spotlight on us the entirety, if at all. And so we really focused on what the guests would enjoy. They're coming all of this way to come celebrate with us. And so we chose a lot of food items that would cater to everybody and really just focused on it being a celebration as opposed to like Jen and Jared's wedding. And so I would say for us, like that was number one, was the guests. Secondly, I would say we wanted everyone to have a good time, including us, because we thrive on when people are smiling and laughing. It makes us feel really good. And like we are also able to enjoy the moment. So I would say the energy and just the celebration and excitement factor was probably number two. And then the third one was just a way for like family and friends to be together. A lot of us don't live close by, so it was really important for us to feel like we were at home and like just having a family and friend event with the people we loved. And that's like something that we really wanted. And that was like our number one, to just feel like it was a wedding for everybody and not just us.
That's wonderful. Were there any aspects that were less important where you maybe saved some money or just your effort?
I would say the biggest thing for us was to make sure that things there were not just for spending money. Like we didn't have favors because we saw that a lot of times people leave them. So we really wanted something that was multifunctional and useful. So we did leis, which actually we ordered from Amazon, and added name tags to them. So it was more of a celebratory, like you're here for the party, and they lit up. So it was like really fun to have him at nighttime on the dance floor and just throughout the venue, but also to show people where they sat as like a seating arrangement. So we really saved money on things that we wanted to not just be wasteful. We wanted it was like a multifunctional item or items. And same with our guest book. We didn't really want something that would collect dust or like things that, like we would never like take a look back down the line. So we ordered these custom surfboards and had all our guests sign them so that we could hang them on the wall and be reminded every day of this was the day we got married.
Wow, that's great. So out of all of this, what ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding day?
I think for me, seeing my husband crying or hearing about it, he was bawling his eyes out even before I stepped out of the van. So to hear, like, he was really excited, and it was one of those things that I've never seen in person. And for him to cry in front of 140 people was one of the most touching and favorite parts of that day.
That's wonderful. Now, did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
No, we actually got really lucky and had everything go perfect. And I don't think we could repeat this for a second time. It was really funny. There was one of our best men in our wedding was taking an Uber from the airport to the hotel. And he's been around the island his whole life. So he told the best man, he was saying how it's really important to hang up your wedding dress in front of a window or a sliding door the night before your wedding to prevent everything to run smoothly. It's some Hawaiian tradition that they really believe in. And so I took the advice, and it was the most perfect day. I couldn't have asked for it to go any better.
Wow, I wonder if that works in Florida. That sounds amazing. Now, was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about and then it turned out not to be?
Yes. So I had a lot of stuff that I had with me prior to getting to Hawaii. So a lot of things were in luggages, and I was worried about transporting and hoping that it was, going to make it to Hawaii. And it was really lucky because we didn't lose any luggage. We had everything. We were able to give everything to our planner, and she put it all out on the day of the wedding. So I was really happy. That was my biggest stress and worry was having something either lost or disappeared and not getting there in time, but we did.
That's wonderful. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
I think for me, the number one thing is I didn't even know there was these pages or these helpful tools for Disney weddings. I kind of did everything on my own. So this was super helpful seeing now. And I'm hoping that this will, help future Disney brides to be able to utilize these resources, because I think they're super helpful. And had I known that they were here, I definitely would have used them when I was wedding planning.
That's great. Any other tips or advice for future Aulani couples?
I would say if you're looking to get married at the Aulani, definitely look on the Facebook groups and all of that, and also look on the website. They are really good at responding and answering. I was just a engaged person at the time who was looking to get married at the Aulani, and I just reached out to a sales manager, and she helped me start the process and then basically connected me with a fairy tale wedding planner. So it was really easy, and they have so much information and so much knowledge that they're just willing to share that it's honestly really helpful. And it makes you feel like, oh, what I'm jumping into is really something that I wanted to do.
That's wonderful. Well, Jen, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal at Aulani, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.